Hello, my name is Sydney Kime, and I'm going to answer the following questions the way that I think Steve Jobs would have answered them. What do you think about the technology represented in her? I feel that Steve Jobs was one of the greatest minds that we had on Earth, and I think that he would have thought that this technology was very interesting and it's something that would have been worth exploring more. If he was still here, he would probably try to find a way to refine the tech and make it a little bit more user-friendly, even though in the movie it was very easy to navigate through and it wasn't a difficult technology to understand. I feel that he would have been able to just pinpoint a couple pieces of it and make it a little easier for people to truthfully get the grasp of what it was for. I also feel like he would be able to make it not as sentient so that people wouldn't feel as easily compelled to fall in love with it like the man did in the movie. Do you think that this technology is inevitable? I feel that if Steve Jobs was still here, he would assume that an artificial intelligence that can talk to people and think for itself would be something that we would come up with eventually. He wouldn't be surprised if it was already there or if it was already made to communicate to humans, help them with their daily lives, talk to them just like a friend would. He is the creator of Siri, which is something that is very close to an artificial intelligence that thinks for itself. And I feel that he would welcome this new technology if it was possible. Do you think it is simply science fiction? When Steve Jobs started out trying to create his company, Apple, he started in his garage with his co-founder, Steve Wozniak, and he dropped out of college in 1976. He basically started from the bottom, and he had dreams to create these things that people thought were science fiction at that time. So I don't think that he would see this technology to be just simple science fiction, because his technology was science fiction before he was able to create it. What do you think of the interface metaphor of her? Steve Jobs would have found that the interface metaphor of her was very sleek, easy to understand, visually pleasing for the consumers, and he might have wanted to create a couple things that are closer to his design of Apple, have a little bit more accessories to it that make the use of the technology a little bit more optimal for the users. But overall, I feel that he would find it to be a very visually pleasing and easy to understand interface metaphor. What interface systems today are leading us in the direction of her? The number one interface that Jobs would see as paving the road for the use of her would definitely be the interface of Siri, because that is the one that he created. I think that he had in mind to create something like the technology that was in her, and if he was still here today, I'm sure that we would be one step closer to that technology, as well as the fact that if he was here today, he would see Google Assistant and Alexa, and he would also notice that the road is being paved, and there would be able to have an interface like her sometime closer in the future. Do you think there is a desirable future for a human technology interface? I'm sure Steve Jobs would have seen the future for human technology interface. Like I mentioned before, he was already paving a path for the use of the interface with Siri, and that made it easier for people to understand his technology. And Jobs saw the future of digital assistants, and he knew that people wanted something to help them in their homes. So I'm sure that he would have been able to see the future for a human technology interface. What are the pros and cons of her future? I think that Steve Jobs would have saw pros for his business because he wanted to grow his business. He wasn't really a person that was there for the profits. He just wanted to try and help people out as much as he could, and he knew that if he was here, he would know that her would be a technology that could potentially improve and pave ways for new technologies that haven't been created yet. It would be an advancement and just give people a chance to come up with new inventions because of the advancement from that technology. I think that a con that he would see from this would be the one that's obvious, like people falling in love or going too far for the interface just because they feel that it has some emotional connection to them. And I feel that he would have been able to figure out a way to make it that, like I said before, make the AI not as sentient and not be able to make as much of its own decisions as it could, because if so, then people might end up blaming the technology and the makers of the technology instead of just blaming themselves for misusing the tech. The last question is, considering the use of digital art in public spaces as part of the setting for the movie, what do you think of this type of art? I think that Jobs would have found this type of art to be very interesting. I think he would have appreciated it because he was a man that did seminars for people. He stood there in front of them and talked to them face to face. And I think that he was the type of person to appreciate a connection with people. So I think that he would have appreciated the fact that digital art was there in the movie and out in public for people to like, because he was a man that loved his own technology. I hope that you enjoyed watching this video.